I'm Scott Pantel, CEO of LSI, and today I am with Bruce Lichorowic, CEO of Galen Robotics, and one of our presenting companies at our upcoming Emerging Medtech Summit. Bruce, welcome, and thank you for your time today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
We're thrilled to have Galen at the conference. You guys are working in such a hot space. Get our audience current with where you guys are at, and tell us what you're up to these days.
Well, we are commercializing a robot that's coming out of Johns Hopkins. The inventor is Russell Taylor, so he's quite famous. He's also one of the inventors for the Da Vinci and the Think Surgical and Robodoc. So he's here, and for the past 8 years, he's really been working on a very simple, easy to use robot for the neurosurgical space, the head and neck space. And so with that, Hopkins reached out to us about 3 years ago. We were living in Silicon Valley at the time and asked us if we would want to commercialize the robot. So with that, we signed our deal with Hopkins and started to move forward. And we went through 3 iterations of the robot. In fact, you can see it behind me. And the whole premise of the robot was to hold any instrument that the surgeon wants to use. So if it's a rasper or whatever, the robot would hold the instrument steady, give guidance if necessary, act as a third hand so that the surgeon can operate and get his other hand back. And it sounds very simple, but the precision on this is about 50 micron. It's up there. And so with that, we can go into multiple areas. So we'll start with laryngology first, we'll move into ENT, we'll move into neuro, and then we'll probably go into cardio. So this robot is a versatile robot that is not going to be specific to any indication. And what's interesting is because of COVID and us interviewing all the admins out there, a lot of the capital will be tight to go, especially for new upcoming companies. For purchasing of new devices. So our background was always software as a service. And so we are bringing that to market, and we're actually going to bring the robot as a service to the market. And we plan on doing that next year. We've raised a really large seed. We were way oversubscribed. We just started our A round. We have a lead. And we're looking, and we think we have another investor who wants to play. We're looking to form a syndicate. So we're open to all takers that want to be interested, especially ventures and investors that are familiar with this space and can get us to Series B and Series C. Series A takes us, Scott, all the way through commerciality. We will launch next year, and so Series A takes us all the way through first 10 installs. So we're past research, we're past development. We're getting ready for our de novo right now, and life's good. We moved to Baltimore last year from Silicon Valley. We sold our homes and packed up everything and moved here. And the state gave us an incredible deal on loans and taxes and everything. So it was a deal we couldn't refuse. So here we are in lovely Baltimore with 41 patents filed, with Hopkins, with my team. Who has been there and done that before 3 times. We got all the boxes checked. I mean, we're doing, and last year, a lot of companies kind of went in defense mode. We really went in offense mode. We just really cooked and figured out that we could bring this robot to market under a whole new business model. And that's probably why we're getting so much attention from industry analysts from BTIG and Canaccord and JP Morgan and all the rest. So everybody's interested in seeing it because we'll be the first to actually launch our company as a service.
That's
And
great.
that's the big deal. That's the APEX versus CapEx business model.
So everybody wants a piece of you, and we're thankful that you're going to come to our event. I think we even twisted your arm into being on board with one of our panels. Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, the key objectives for the event. Is it purely fundraising? Are you talking to strategics? If you're talking to strategics, tell us a little bit about those discussions that may or may not be happening in parallel to your fundraising efforts.
Yeah, your event is quite unique. And so and we've been invited to almost all the conferences, but you have a unique conference going on that I like. You have a vast array of interested venture groups and investors coming, and then you're also mixed it with the strategics. So the strategics, you name them, we're talking to them. We haven't really, there's no ring, there's no engagement ring, there's nothing on our fingers, but at the same time, everybody's interested in having their devices held by the robot. And whether it be an endoscope, whether it be surgical tools, whether it be power tools, drills, anything like that. So we have been in discussion with all the device manufacturers at various levels. We've been in discussion with all the instrument manufacturers at various levels. And so we will be meeting with a number of those folks at your conference. We're setting up those meetings now. And we're trying to be well, it's hard to be agnostic in a business like this because everybody wants you for themselves. So we're picking and choosing our partners very smartly on where to go and how we want to go about. But the obvious big players are obvious: the Strykers, the Medtronics, the J&Js. I mean, those are obvious. And there are a lot of other small ones that are very interesting too. So we're talking to a lot of folks right now.
Well, that's great. We're a huge fan of what you guys are doing. Tell me a little bit more about the model. I hear things like no upfront capital. I'm sure hospital administrators love you guys, especially given the current environment. But it is a really hot space. You guys are highly differentiated. Tell us a little bit more about the model.
Well, before COVID, we were probably going to be like everybody else. We would come out $500,000 CapEx upfront, and then have our model be off disposables. COVID hit, and talking to my surgical advisory panel, and they include the surgeons from Stanford and Mass Ear and Eye and UCSC, UCSF, USC, and obviously Hopkins, JHU. They gave us early warning that the value-added committees are going to be really tight with expending capital, given the loss of revenue that's occurring and has occurred due to COVID, because of elective surgeries and things like that. So we kind of went away and thought real hard, how do we, bring this robot to market without waiting 6 months to a year for your first sale? So we were, and being software, half our team, including me, has been high tech, software startups, and the other half has been solid medtech. So, we're smashing Silicon Valley with Baltimore, if there's such a thing, but we're kind of bringing in high tech business models into this particular industry. And so we see the use of usage fees, where some of our competitors are selling devices that will ask for a usage fee and then a disposable fee. So that's as a service. And so we took it one step further to almost make it an on-demand model. So usage fee, a modest usage fee to get the thing started. And then we have a list of disposables, and the disposables actually are the clips that hold the tools and things like that. So we ran our models, and Scott, we ran our models over and over and over. And could we make a business out of this? You know, what does this look like? Are we nuts? And because our capital, our costs, our COGS is so low to build these things, they're under $100,000. So we can build a very inexpensive robot compared to our competitors, and we really don't have any competitors in our space. So I should say our other colleagues in the robotic world, because they're after spine and going after other areas. We really are kind of have a completely open field in neurosurgery and really ENT. There's really no robot that owns those spaces. And so we just decided, hell, we can place these things. You got to place them anyway in the beginning. And then we can start charging a usage fee, and then we can start charging a disposals fee. The administrators thought that was great, because you go to these administrators today and say you have a robot, he's going to take you by the ear and say, I got robots, they're over here. They're all lined up along the hallway and they're not being used. So the whole idea behind our model was to get it in the hospital. The model is built on usage. So the thing that we are pushing for is low startup, meaning, you turn it on, you log in, you go. So a lot of our robots that are out there, and I call them first generation robots, have a 20, 30-minute pre-op period of time that they have to set the robot up. And that's a killer. You're going to lose half your surgeons. If you add 20 minutes to the case or 30 minutes, you're going to lose half the surgeon base. So we eliminated, so we have a rapid startup or rapid registration where the surgeon can pull the robot up and use it. You can use it for 5 minutes or use it for 5 hours, whatever they want. And it's, a kind of a surgical robotic assistant. So that's kind of where and we ran this by a number of administrators of a what do you think tour going, what do you think about this model? And, we have hospitals that want 2 to 3 of these things. Now, the other side of the coin is, will you use them and how do you use them? So the requirement by the hospital is you're going to have to guarantee X amount of cases. Right. So you're going to have to guarantee X amount of cases. And with that, you get to keep the robot or robots in your area. And we'll use the old J&J model of Ethicon, where we'll have reps assigned to the hospital working with those surgeons to make sure that they understand it. Well, we'd like to get our target is to get more than 50% of the surgeons to use the robot. That's the secret. And so there's a robot that's out there that is being utilized very well, and that's a Da Vinci. They stand in line with those things, and the hospitals will not have a hard time writing checks for new Da Vincis, given that they already are used to it. They know the cost of money to value. They understand all that. So the upcomers like us trying to scratch and claw for some of that capital up front, we think that's a tough road to hoe at this juncture.
Well, so, we're really excited for you guys, and Bruce, what makes our meeting is innovators like Galen. We love your technology, the differentiated model. We love the management team. We're really excited to have you at the program. You guys truly make our meeting. And I know that our membership, there's a lot of interest and deal flow out there. The investor turnout is tremendous. So what attracted you to the meeting? What do you expect? What's a positive outcome for you post summit, which is here in a couple months?
Well, I would like to find a good syndicate. I already have a lead. I'm happy with my lead, but I'd love to find a syndicate of investors that want to play in the Series A. That would be a good thing. I don't want to stick with one investor. I'd like to have a series of at least three solid investing group investors. The other thing is, I'd love to come away with. You have some strategics we haven't spoke with. I like to knock on some of their doors. You just saw Boston Scientific today, just made a big acquisition. Right. Love to speak with those guys. Right. Never had a reason to before today. So now we have a reason. So yeah. That's one of the things that we would probably like to get across, get in your conference. A lot of my colleagues, nudged me and said, "Hey, are you going to LSI?" And I go, "Is that a school? What's LSI?" And they go, because we were just last year when your conference was going on, we had just finished JP Morgan. And then you had yours in February, I think, or March or whatever last year. And we missed it. And then all of a sudden, and so everybody went from San Francisco down to your place. And I'm kind of like, where everybody, I was trying to get a hold of my colleagues and get a hold of people. And they said, "No, we're going to LSI." And I just didn't quite understand what your event was all about. And now I get it. And I'm really happy to be there. It's a great venue. And I think you've got a hell of a star cast of speakers. I was very impressed with your lineup.
Well, thank you. We're excited. We definitely have a great program. There's a strong interest in getting back out. As you're aware, this is going to be a hybrid event this year. So we've got a big group of people that will be there in person. We've got a big turnout of folks that are going to join digitally, and we're doing everything we can to make it as engaging as possible. So before I wrap up with our final question, is there anything else you'd like our audience to know about Galen before we go to the secret final question of this interview?
No, I mean, Galen's, we're just a typical hot robotic startup, with a big school with a big university behind us. It's just one of those things where, of all of my startups, of all 4 startups that I've done, this has been probably the funnest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say the easiest, but and COVID kind of, we learned our lesson in 2008 and 2007, 8, and 9 when the financial crisis hit. We kind of knew how to hunker down quickly.
Right.
So we went into shelter in place like in February out here, and we cut our expenses, we cut our burn, and we just went into a different mode, and just went into let's just get our work done. So we were not used to, but we were prepared for the worst, and we got out fairly well. So I think the things about us is that we kind of been there and done that. We're all our exits of our competitors have been $1 billion plus. So we see a big exit opportunity, or we go public.
That's great.
We have all the things that we go public with. So that's kind of us. So the super secret question.
Okay, you kind of touched on it a little bit, and we're real excited for you guys. I can't wait to see you. But it's been a heck of a year for all of us on both the business and professional front. Silver lining out of this past year from either or both a professional and business standpoint. What's one of the best things that's come out of this past year for you?
Silver lining personal was we were able to run our teams virtually and not lose pace. The only thing that we lost was our time, was our vendors couldn't produce our parts to build out our FDA candidate robots. So we had to wait. Mm-hmm. So we were virtual before. We're San Jose and coming in with Baltimore. So we kind of knew that, and the whole Zoom experience kind of solidified that. Also, what it did, it gave us time to think of a different model to go to market with. So, like I said, if it was pre-COVID, we probably would have launched like everybody else. And I have a price sheet that if those want to spend CapEx, we're happy to do it. But it got us to rethink the model and differentiate ourselves to get out there quicker, where we could probably get a couple dozen robots out in the next couple of years fairly easy, where it would take years and years and years to get a couple dozen of these things out. So, and we have hospitals that want multiples. And so that was the silver lining that we saw. Horrible year, horrible for what happened. But, it was one of those things that was catastrophic. No one, we didn't see the bottom. I don't, until what? We didn't see the bottom of probably till last fall on this whole thing. So we just kind of stayed in hunker down mode and the beautiful thing about our company is we consider ourselves a software company that happens to sell a robot, because 80% of the robot is run by software. So being software geeks, we just sat home and just coded like mad. And that's kind of what we did. So yeah, we're really excited for next year. We go to an FDA Q1 next year is our plan under de novo. FDA has been terrific to us, giving us great guidance. Nothing fancy, nothing too great. Just get it in, and then we'll start to do our follow-on submissions once we get our first clearance.
That's tremendous. Well, Bruce, we look forward to seeing you, hearing more about Galen in a couple short months. Thank you for being a part of the program. Again, it's innovators like you and Galen that make the program what it is. And so thank you for the update today, for getting us current. And I look forward to hearing more exciting news in a couple short months in Dana Point, California.
I look forward to being a panel. I look forward to everything out there. It should be a fun time.
It's going to be a good time. A lot of demand for us all to get out in person and reconnect. So we'll see you soon. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.